Hey, so in this video, we'll be looking at how we can implement clean code practices inside React. So I have created a brand new Create React app, okay, inside of my E directory, and inside of app.tsx, you can see I've written some code. So you can ignore this code for now. I just want to say that suppose we need to display a page instead of app.tsx. So what we can do is create a folder inside src called pages and create a file called detailpage.tsx. Let me do rafe, and here we have a bare bones component which is being exported. So I'll go ahead and write detail page just to make it clear. And suppose I have a class name, and the container and m auto classes are actually layout classes, right? And we don't want this to be part of this page. We can abstract away this to another component. So I'll show you how we can abstract away the styling logic. So how we can do that is create a new folder called components, and inside components we can create a new file and name it page layout.tsx. Okay, so let me copy this entire thing and paste it in page layout. So we are actually moving the responsibility of the layout section from detail page to page layout. So here I will define props. Okay, so first I have to define a type called page layout props, and I will import props with children from React, and type page layout props is equal to props with children, and here I can have props. So I'll say children type of page layout props, right? And we will have whatever children it is inside of page layout. So here we will say children, right? And what we can do here, we have abstracted away the styling or the layout logic, and we can import page layout. So the code is much cleaner and much smaller. This is the beauty of how we can abstract away logic. So we need to display only the detail page logic, right? We can have more abstractions. I'll show you how we can do that. So let me go ahead and create a component called navbar.tsx. So RIFC, we have the bare bones navbar, and I can have that navbar inside of page layout, right? So this page layout is something like this can have all the common components. So because navbar, footer are all common components of the app, so we need to worry only about the specific logic of the page inside that page only. So let me go ahead and create a type detail page props. So suppose the detail page has some kind of other logic to it, and suppose it has id or detail id, and it will be passed as props. So detail id, detail page props, and const data set data. So suppose we want to fetch some data to be displayed on our detail page. So let me create a use state, empty use state. Oh, it's showing in red. Let me import it. And suppose we have a use effect. Suppose we want to fetch some data inside of detail page when the page is first loaded. Okay, comma, okay. So let us say it depends on detail id. So whenever the detail id changes, it will fetch new data. So const fetch data, and inside that we'll have await fetch, and we will say slash api slash data slash detail id, just like this. And so once we get the result, we can say const res is equal to await whatever the result is. This is like the basic of how we can fetch data. Const data will be equal to await res.json, and set data data. So let's make it detail data for more understanding. Set data detail data. Okay, right. So what we can do here now is we can abstract away this logic to another component, right? That's what we're gonna do. So this whole use effect, so this this page is not clean now. So whatever happens, the user or another user who you are sharing your code with will not understand what is happening. You have a user vec, you have fetch data, and you are setting that data. What is the responsibility of detail page? You don't know that. So first, let's create a hook called use fetch data. To fetch the data, we are going to assign responsibility to each component and nothing more than that, or nothing less than that even. So export function use fetch data, and let's copy this whole thing. Okay, and we're going to abstract it out to use fetch data.ts. So this is a custom hook uh, in React. Basically, a custom hook is a custom method that can be used globally throughout the app. So that's the meaning of a custom hook. So here the responsibility of the hook is to fetch data and fetch data only, and here we will say return data. So this hook will fetch data and return that data, whatever be it is, be it an error, be it a success or anything, it will return data. So here all we have to do is const detail data is equal to use fetch data, and yeah, make sure to use the appropriate imports. So here you can just display detail data, and this looks very much cleaner than our initial code, right? Here you can see all the data is abstracted into its own components, and we know which component is responsible for what. Uh, that is like the ideal case. So here let's create another component called detail data, and let's have empty, and let's define a type called detail data props, and this will be equal to data any for now, right? We don't know what the data contains, and let's give it a type of any, and here let's give it as props. So detail data props data, let's have data. Okay, let's go to detail page, detail data, right? So I can import that component, and instead of rendering is I'll give the rendering responsibility to detail data, and I'll pass that data from the page, right? So this makes it a lot cleaner now. So here you can see that I can just display whatever I want. So inside detail data I can do whatever I want with the data. So in banner I can have, maybe it has a prop called photo, and data dot photo, that particular values instead of that data object. And here I can have maybe another component. So everything, the component hierarchy is very much simple to understand, and all the rendering logic is divided into its own components which are responsible for doing that only. And make sure to give the appropriate name. So navbar, like you know what a navbar is, it should be related to navbar, and maybe it has something called body, maybe it has something called detail data. So this is very much simple to do in React, and that is why React is I mean more widely used, because of the simple to understand component hierarchy. Like if it was like Angular or something, it would be much harder. Like you have to import modules, and you have to reuse modules and components inside modules, etc, etc, etc. So all this we don't have to worry about in here. So this is very much simple. I mean that was the whole purpose of this video, to make you people understand. So if you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.